Hello everyone, my name is Dickens Chung. I want to share with you the speech that I'm going to give as a delegate at Richmond City Hall this evening, July 20th, 2026, regarding the BC Housing application for a temporary use permit for the Aster Place, temporary modular housing. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Dickens Chung. I'm a father of 4 young children living in Richmond, and I'm here tonight as a neighbor and a member of this community, someone who cares about the safety and dignity of everyone affected by this decision on both sides of the discussion. Now, let me preface by saying that I'm not here to tell you this is a simple decision. It isn't. Tonight, you're being asked to approve an application for a temporary use permit for a facility that houses 40 people who would otherwise be on our streets. And you're hearing from residents who've lived beside this facility and experienced real harm. Both of these things are true at the same time, and I want to speak to both of them honestly. And if there are residents of Aster Place here tonight or watching online, I want to say this to you directly. Nothing I'm proposing is about taking your home away. It's about making sure this facility actually gives you what you need to move forward with your life. If the application for this temporary use permit is not approved, 40 people lose their homes on March 15, 2027, displacing them onto our streets and transit stations, not solving anything. At the same time, concerns raised by our neighbors are not exaggerations. The written record before council includes a resident's account of break-ins, thefts, and fear for personal safety since this facility opened, alongside documented concerns about inadequate council staff and inconsistent food service. Both realities are true, and both deserve a direct response tonight. Not just approval or denial, but accountability. I want to share something with you that has shaped how I think about this matter more than any report or data. Almost 2 years ago, I met a man, I'll call him L, outside Richmond's other temporary modular housing site on Bridge Way. He told me he'd lost his father, someone he deeply loved and respected. And that grief pulled him into depression so heavy that he started using drugs to numb the pain. Over time, he recognized what the drugs were doing to him and the people who loved him, and he wanted out. He wanted to get clean. He had a bed at the Bridge TMH, but he chose to leave it and sleep outside instead, because he told me the environment inside was working against him. Open drug use, dealers coming in and out. He watched people he knew, people he lived alongside, die of overdoses inside a building that was supposed to be helping them. I'm not sharing the story to attack the people working at these facilities, many of whom are doing genuinely hard, compassionate work. I'm sharing it because Elle told me something this council needs to hear. People who want to get clean aren't getting the treatment and structure they need, while people who aren't ready to stop using are, in effect, enabled to keep using in a concentrated, unsupervised setting. Both groups are being failed, just differently. That is not an argument against housing people. It's an argument that housing without treatment, infrastructure is not the whole solution. And Richmond has now run that experiment at 2 sites for several years. I believe we have enough experience to say plainly, something needs to change, and the current model needs to evolve. I'm not asking you to deny this permit tonight and displace 40 people with nowhere else to go, but I am asking you not to simply renew the status quo for 3 more years either. I'm asking you to leverage what the city actually has. BC Housing needs this land and needs this permit to keep operating at all. That is Richmond's leverage, and I don't think we should just hand over 3 years of it without any conditions. I'm asking council to approve this permit for 12 months, not 3 years. A 12-month term keeps these 40 people housed. It does not displace anyone tonight, but it puts a hard public deadline on the table, and it tells BC Housing and the province plainly the next renewal is not guaranteed on the current model. Attached to that 12 months, I'm asking for 4 specific enforceable commitments. First, a binding operator performance and reporting standard, reviewed by council before the 12 months are up, covering staffing, on-site counseling capacity, and food service. The gaps already raised on the public record. That same standard should confirm the existing residency verification process for intake is being properly enforced, with regular public reporting on compliance. Second, a formal community liaison committee with real authority to escalate safety and property concerns to the operator and to the city, with a public accounting of how those concerns were resolved. Third, a real enforced escalation and safety protocol for conduct that harms this community, break-ins, theft, dealing, violence, with clear binding consequences for those responsible, applied in partnership with the operator, and where criminal conduct is involved, the Richmond RCMP. To be precise, this isn't about punishing anyone for their addiction. It's about accountability for harming neighbors, a different thing, and one that this facility needs a real answer for. And fourth, and most importantly, I'm asking this council to publicly commit that a further extension beyond 12 months is not automatic. The Local Government Act allows a term of up to 3 years. It does not require it. Use that discretion, council. Tell BC Housing and the province plainly that this council expects a credible transition plan towards treatment-first care before the next renewal is considered. And that 12 months, not 3 years, is how seriously this council takes that expectation. 3 years removes the time pressure that actually forces change. The province has had years to improve this model and hasn't at the pace this community needs. Richmond holds the permit. Richmond should use it. I recognize funding and program design are provincial jurisdiction, not this council's. But you control whether the province gets 3 more years of uncertainty or 12 months and a deadline. I'm asking you to choose the deadline, not as a punishment, but as an opportunity. This is the council's chance to show that a vote tonight isn't just performative box checking, but a genuine commitment to doing what's actually best for both the residents of Aster Place and the neighbors around them. I'd also note this council has done this before. In 2024, alongside the last extension, council passed a companion motion directing staff to report on the operator's effectiveness. I'd welcome something similar tonight. A firm timeline on staffing, residency verification, and a provincial response on treatment services. So we're not back here in 12 months with nothing to show for it. And I want to be honest about the hardest part of this ask. If 12 months from now, the province still hasn't delivered a credible plan, and this council chooses not to extend further, the residents of Aster Place would need a real funded relocation plan, not simply displacement onto the street. That responsibility would fall on BC Housing and the province, who created this model and would have failed to fix it. I don't raise that lightly, and I'd rather that this council never have to face that choice because the province actually delivered on time instead. Council, you have a narrow and difficult needle to thread tonight, but I believe you can house people, hold this facility accountable, enforce real change all at once. A 12-month approval with a binding transition plan does all three. It keeps a roof over 40 people, it tells this neighborhood their concerns were acted on, and it tells the province Richmond won't simply keep renewing a model that isn't working. Thank you for your time and for the seriousness with which I know you will all weigh this.